6 episodes down and 2 to go. And at the risk of sounding like another hate watcher, let's see what fresh hell awaits us this week. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I hope that I do the fans proud because it is such a beautiful, rich, gorgeous world that people should be investing into as fans.
Absolutely not.
This episode begins with the real Osha waking up in a strange man's apartment after a long night of drinking. But not just any strange man. This is Discount Ezra Miller's bachelor pad.
I shouldn't have fucked that guy. We could be that mistake.
Which just so happens to be in a location that looks suspiciously like the planet that old hermit Luke Skywalker went to die on in The Last Jedi. And it literally felt like returning to the scene of a crime. You also can't help but feel like, if in fact it is revealed that that is the same planet, that this is all one big, very intentional troll attempt by Leslie Headland because she knows the type of reaction that something like this would get. I'm almost certain that everyone is going to take the bait because, let's be honest, that's what Disney Star Wars does to people now. Just a few moments later, Osha miraculously stumbles upon Discount Ezra Miller on this giant rock island that she's never been on before. And that is one thing that's been very consistent about this show. No matter how big the planet is, every character will find themselves exactly where they need to be to move the plot along. And I use the term plot very loosely when I say that. But that's not the worst part about this scene. The worst part is that when Osha finds him, he's skinny dipping. She actually tries to steal his lightsaber, but he senses that she is doing so. And he asks her, how does it feel to hold one again? I can't help but feel like, given the tone of this scene, he's not just talking about a lightsaber.
Penis, the male reproductive organ.
He then tells her, if you aren't going to join me, I'm going to put my clothes back on. So he steps out of the water and reveals his Schwartz to her. If this is starting to sound like bad fan fiction that some sexually frustrated weirdo on the internet wrote, after they had a fantasy about shipping Star Wars characters for some reason, that's because that's exactly what it is. This moment had all the sexual tension of a cheesy dollar store sex novel. And I'm sure the social media crowd is going to eat it up because this is exactly the type of thing that they want in their Star Wars. The rest of the episode pretty much consists of Discount Ezra Miller trying to convince Osha that the Jedi are one-sided and shallow. Kind of like Disney Star Wars.
Ha ha, very funny, motherfucker.
While also encouraging her to get in touch with her emotions, which we all know is a path to the dark side. Now this is obviously a very Sith thing to do. He showcases that even further when he tries to appeal to her by telling her that they aren't so different. And he assures her that when you lose everything like he did, that is the only point in time where you will actually be free. Unless, of course, you are constantly being oppressed by those pesky Jedi. He suggests that the Jedi will push you aside if they feel like you are showing too much emotion. The writers are basically taking a piece of Star Wars lore here that made a lot of sense in George Lucas's Star Wars. And they are trying to flip that idea on its head and somehow turn it into a negative. And it actually makes sense when you consider how overly emotional most people in society actually are, including the writers of this show probably. The message being everyone deserves to be themselves, even if they are a murdering dickhead.
Message!
Eventually, Discount Ezra tells Osha that his ultimate goal is to achieve the power of the two, which I guess is kind of another way of saying the rule of the two. I don't know why they didn't just say that. I guess we shouldn't be surprised because this is just another example of Disney Star Wars taking something that already exists, changing it just a little bit, and trying to pass it off as their own. Speaking of that, Discount Ezra then reveals that his GIMP helmet is pretty much Magneto's helmet from X-Men. It basically just blocks out all the bullshit, so it's just you and the Force. which I guess is their way of explaining why this character was so in tune with the Force. No distractions. And clearly this is leading to Osha putting on the helmet so she can discover some critical plot point. A plot point that is most likely going to change her optimistic view of the Jedi. And I think I speak for all of us when I say, I can't wait for that.
Nobody likes a smartass, alright?
Elsewhere, we have Sol not immediately informing the Jedi Council of this possible Sith-like entity existing. And all indications point to him not wanting to reveal that information, and clearly he did some shit in the past that he is not proud of, or maybe he is. It's difficult to tell based on his demeanor throughout the course of this episode. He did say that he intends to go before the Jedi Council and reveal everything. Probably off screen because that's only going to make this already ridiculous budget even more. The episode concludes with Sol knocking out May, who he discovered was only pretending to be Osha, and he then tells her that he has a lot to say and that she is going to listen. What a misogynist.
There is something called mansplaining. Have you heard about this?
We know what mansplaining is.
Mansplaining.
It appears that the secrets of the fire that killed the lesbian witches will be revealed very soon. And it's become very clear to me that Sol has a lot of explaining to do. And that this show is most likely trying to tell us that Discount Ezra is right about the Jedi. Or at least he's right about this Jedi in particular. Either way, we get another cliffhanger as we start to wrap things up with the Acolyte, thankfully. It should be noted that Leslie Headland said recently that she very intentionally used Kylo Ren's theme in The Acolyte. So don't be surprised if The Acolyte somehow ends up being a retroactive explanation for one of the only things that anyone had any interest in when it came to the sequel trilogy, The Knights of Ren. So rejoice, we might actually get answers to questions that nobody really gives a shit about anymore.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
Oh my god, did you see the skinny dipping scene? So I guess now we know what being seduced by the dark side really means. Disney knows exactly what they are doing. They are feeding us exactly what we want. I am here for the ship. Oshmir stands for life. Did a Star Wars character really just say she's resetting her droid to factory settings? Like it's a goddamn smartphone. The imagination in these people is non-existent at this point. Why not just have May craft a lightsaber at this point that doubles as a vibrator so she can the crazy out of herself? This ain't Star Wars. This is teen fan fiction bullshit, and I hate every second of it.
Y'all be cool. Right on.